My cheating wife abandoned me on the side of the road with nothing, then returned like nothing was wrong. My name's Mike, 34. The kind of guy who pays bills early and apologizes when someone bumps into him. I married Chloe 5 years ago, back when I thought love was about patience and compromise. She's 32, gorgeous, sharp-tongued, and had a laugh that made me fall headfirst. Too bad I didn't notice the claws behind that smile. Then there were her friends. Ella, the yoga-flexible Instagram life coach with the morals of a raccoon in a jewelry store. Stephanie, queen bee and chaos conductor, who treated every social gathering like a reality show audition. And Lauren, quiet, watchful, and twice as cruel because her jabs came dressed in silk. They hated me from day one. I wasn't their type. Too quiet, too plain, not whatever trophy Chloe was supposed to marry. We'd been married for 5 years, and for every single one of them, her friends had treated me like gum stuck to the bottom of their designer sandals. Ella, Stephanie, and Lauren were the holy trinity of toxic bachelorettes who never quite accepted that Chloe chose me. They didn't try to hide it either. They made snide comments, inside jokes I was never part of, and laughed at my expense like it was sport. Chloe, she never defended me. She just laughed along like I was the family dog trying to join in on the human conversation. Cute, but not quite. We were 3 days into a road trip to Stephanie's lake house, a place that might as well have been hell with a boat dock. I only agreed to go because Chloe insisted. It'll be good for us, she said. Bonding time with my girls. Translation. Come sit quietly while we roast you like a holiday turkey, and I pretend I don't notice. That morning, we stopped at a gas station somewhere in Nowheresville, Colorado. The kind of place with a single flickering pump, a rusty bathroom, and a buzzing soda machine that hadn't been restocked since the 90s. I told them I had to pee. Chloe nodded, barely looking up from her phone. My wallet was in the glove box. My phone was still charging in the car. I figured I'd be 2 minutes, tops. I walked out and the car was gone. At first, I thought maybe they moved it. Pulled a little joke. Chloe had done that once before. Hid the remote when I was sick just to laugh while I tore the couch apart looking for it. Hilarious, right? 10 minutes passed, then 30, and then the hour mark hit and something inside me cracked. I was standing in the middle of the desert heat, my t-shirt soaked with sweat, staring at the empty space where our car had been like it might materialize if I glared hard enough. I paced, kicked rocks, and cursed under my breath. Any second now, I thought, they'd roll up laughing, and Chloe would throw open the window and shout, "Gotcha!" But nothing. No tire crunch. No laughter. No Chloe. Just me. A gas station ghost, baking in the sun like discarded meatloaf. Then came the truck. It rumbled up the road like some divine plot device from a TV drama. Big, loud, and speckled with grime, it stopped right next to me. The window rolled down, revealing a grizzled man with kind eyes and a sweat-stained cap. "You all right, son? You've been standing there a while." I tried to keep my voice steady. "My ride left me. Can you give me a lift?" He nodded without hesitation. "Hop in." I climbed into the cab, leaving behind my pride, my phone, and the 5-year farce I used to call a marriage. The engine growled to life and we pulled away. I didn't look back, but I should have because what came next would make that gas station feel like a spa day. The truck cab smelled like cigarettes, dust, and whatever fast food lived in the seat cushions. But I didn't care. I would have sat on a bed of nails if it meant getting away from that gas station. The guy introduced himself as Hank. Said he did long hauls from Salt Lake to Amarillo and everything in between. Had a voice like gravel and a face that probably hadn't smiled since Clinton was in office. "So where you headed?" he asked, eyes on the road. Good question. I didn't have an answer. My wallet, ID, phone, money all gone. Hell, my dignity had probably hitched a ride in Chloe's backseat. "Anywhere not here," I finally muttered. Hank grunted like that made perfect sense. "I can drop you in Grand Junction. Not much there, but it beats Bikini in the sun." "Yeah, that works. Thanks." He didn't push, just nodded and turned up the old country music on his radio. I leaned my head against the window, letting the vibration of the road numb the buzzing in my brain. What the hell had just happened? They left me. Chloe left me. Not an accident. Not a mistake. This wasn't forgetting your husband at Target. This was coordinated. I kept replaying it in my mind like a horror movie loop. Ella spilled coffee on my lap the day before and laughed so hard she nearly cried. Lauren whispered to Chloe, the two of them giggling while sneaking glances at me like I was some kind of pet trick. And Stephanie? She was just smug as hell, always. They planned it. I was sure now. Probably even high-fived on the way out. Hank dropped me off near a crossroads outside of Grand Junction. Said there was a bus station a couple of miles down and a homeless shelter even closer. Good luck, he said, tipping his stained ball cap. And then he was gone. I stood there in the dust and heat, hands on hips, trying to figure out what next looked like. My sneakers were already worn through at the soles. My shirt clung to me like plastic wrap. Grand Junction wasn't much to look at. Low buildings, cracked sidewalks, the faint stink of oil in the air. I found the shelter by accident. A low, concrete building with a faded cross painted on the wall. It looked like a war zone bandage, but I had no options. Inside, it smelled like bleach, sweat, and rock bottom. A man at the desk looked up, chewing a toothpick like it owed him money. His name egg said Roy. You lost, or just broke? Both, I said, voice dry as the Colorado dirt. Got ditched. No money, no ID, nothing. Roy nodded slowly. Like this wasn't the first time someone staggered through his door with a story full of shattered trust. Got a name. Mike. All right, Mike. Fill this out, we'll get you a cot. Tomorrow, we start fixing the rest. I took the clipboard, hands shaking slightly. That night, I lay on a thin mattress in a room full of snoring strangers, staring at the ceiling and wondering if Chloe was laughing right now. Probably with a wine glass in her hand. Probably with Stephanie reenacting my confused face for laughs. And me? I was here. In a shelter. In my skin. Stripped down to the bones of who I was. And for the first time in 5 years, I wasn't pretending everything was okay. The next morning, I woke up to a chorus of coughs, snores, and the distant groan of plumbing that sounded like it came straight from a horror movie. My back ached from the cot as I'd slept on a bag of bricks, and the air smelled like disinfectant and regret. Roy was already up, sipping from a chipped mug of sludge coffee like it was gold. He handed me a cup without asking. It tasted like burnt rubber, but it was warm, and it was mine. I sat across from him at the front desk, watching people shuffle in and out like ghosts on a loop. All right, Mike. Let's get this show on the road, he said. You need an ID to do anything in this world. Job, bank, hell, even to get a library card. We'll start the paperwork today. I nodded grateful. That was Roy's style, gruff, zero sugarcoating, but dependable in a way that hit harder than I expected. He gave me forms to fill out, helped me get a temporary address using the shelter, and pointed me toward a diner down the street. Jackie's, he said. The owner's a tough broad named Jacqueline. Lost 3 dishwashers this month. She might take a chance on your sorry face. I walked into Jackie's that afternoon, half expecting to be thrown out. The place was straight out of a postcard from 1975. Red vinyl booths, a jukebox that only played sad songs, and the smell of bacon and bleach fighting for dominance. Behind the counter was Jacqueline. 60-something, wiry, covered in tattoos, and with a scowl that could shatter glass. Roy sent me, I said. She didn't look up from the plate she was wiping. You steal from me, I kill you. You whine, I fire you. You show up late, I don't care why. Got it? Got it. She tossed me an apron. Dishwasher quit this morning. Start now. Just like that, I was back in the world. My hands were submerged in hot, greasy water. My back screaming. My fingers were raw. And yet, somehow, it felt like the first real thing I'd done in years. That night, I returned to the shelter soaked in steam and dish soap, but something had shifted. I had a job. It was barely above rock bottom, but it was mine. Roy gave me a nod when I walked in, and I gave him one back. Nothing else needed saying. Over the next week, a routine formed. Wake up. Burnt coffee. Work double shifts. Fill out the paperwork. Collapse onto the cot like a corpse. Repeat. It was grueling. But it kept my hands busy and my mind away from Chloe and her laugh. From Stephanie's smug smirk. From all of it. A week later, I got my first paycheck. It wasn't much, barely enough to cover a fast food meal and a pair of socks. But I stared at that paper like it was a lottery ticket. I walked down to the corner store and bought a prepaid phone with it. Something cheap. Functional. And the second I turned it on, it started vibrating. First Chloe. Then Stephanie. Then Lauren. Text after text. Missed calls. Voicemails. I didn't answer. Not right away. But curiosity? That old demon? It got the better of me. I played the first voicemail. Chloe, voice shaking. Mike, where are you? We waited. It was just a joke. We're worried. Please call me. Waited? No, they didn't. Stephanie's voicemail was worse. Come on, dude. You have to admit it was funny. Call us back. You always do. My stomach turned. My fingers tightened around the cheap plastic phone until the edges bit into my palm. They weren't sorry. They missed their punching bag. That was all. I sat on my cot that night, their messages glowing on the screen. Ghosts clawing to get back in. Then I blocked them all. One by one. Chloe. Stephanie. Lauren. Delete. Block. Silence. And when the screen finally went dark, I felt something strange. Peace. But I had no idea just how hard they were about to try to crack back in. Blocking them should have been the end of it. A hard stop. A full system reset. But no. Chloe wasn't done. She found my email. It started with something small, an empty subject line. The message said, I just want to know you're okay. I stared at it for a full 5 minutes. My thumb hovered over delete like it was the launch button for a missile. I closed the tab instead. Next morning? Another one. Then another. I'm sorry. It was Stephanie's idea. We were drinking. You always bounce back. That last one felt like a slap. It was a refrain I'd heard 100 times in our marriage. Her version of comfort, you always bounce back. Like I was a rubber ball. Or a cockroach. Something that didn't break. Just kept crawling no matter how many boots stomped on it. Jacqueline caught me one morning wiping down tables slower than usual. She set a plate of burnt toast next to me and said, "Trouble on the horizon?" I told her about the emails. The voicemails. Everything. She didn't blink. Just chewed a bite of toast and muttered, "Block her. Again. Or grow a spine and tell her to back off. But don't sit around leaking energy like a damn faucet." I laughed, one of those sharp, unexpected ones that you feel in your gut. "Leaking energy," I repeated. She jabbed a finger at me. "Patch it up. Before it floods the kitchen." God, I loved her for that. That day, Roy handed me a crumpled envelope with my name scribbled in Sharpie. "Mail for you. Got sent here." Inside was my new state ID. It felt like the final piece. My name. My photo. A card that proved I existed, that I wasn't just a guy someone abandoned at a gas station like a dropped wallet. That same week, Jacqueline bumped me up to prep cook. "You've got decent hands," she said. "Don't mess it up." I worked twice as hard. Learned how to dice onions without crying. Okay, mostly. Took pride in every plate that left the kitchen. And at night, I went back to the shelterless, ashamed, more grounded. Even Roy seemed to notice. "You're standing straighter," he said one morning while passing me a second cup of coffee. "Yeah," I replied, smiling. "Feels like I remember who I am again." But Chloe wasn't finished. That night, a new email. Subject line, "I saw your grandma." That one hit differently. My stomach flipped. Grandma Ruth. The one who sent me birthday cards like it was a sacred duty. The one who told me after Chloe and I got married, she's got shiny teeth but cold hands, Mikey. Watch her. The email read, "I ran into your grandmother. She's worried. Please just let us know you're alive. That you're okay. We're all so sorry." We? There was no we. I deleted it. But this time, the ache lingered. Chloe had gone low, dragging family into it. Weaponizing worry. I didn't reply. I wouldn't. But the silence wasn't as loud as it used to be. Because now I had noise of my own. Chopped vegetables. Orders shouted over clattering pans. The hum of a kitchen where I belonged. The next day, I caught myself whistling during the lunch rush. That's when I knew they were losing their grip. But they weren't going to give up without a last twist of the knife. It had been 2 months since that gas station. 2 months since Chloe and her coven laughed their way down the highway and left me for roadkill. 2 months of burning dishwater, Jacqueline's barking, and the clatter of plates slowly beating their voices out of my head. I'd saved enough to move out of the shelter and into a shoebox studio above a laundromat. The wallpaper peeled if you looked at it wrong. The floor creaked like it had secrets. But it was mine. I had a key. A door I could lock. And no one yelling through it. Life was steady. Not perfect. Not even good all the time. But real. Until she found me again. I came home from the diner one night, tired and grease-stained, and checked the burner phone. One unread message from an unknown number. "I miss you." I didn't even need to open it to know who it was. Chloe had found my number again. Changed hers, maybe. Used someone else's. I didn't know. Didn't care. But I made the mistake of scrolling. Just once. Her newest email popped up before I could stop myself. It had a photo. Me. From 2 years ago. Smiling. At a park. Her hand is in mine. The caption? "I miss my love. I hope he finds his way home." And the comment section? "Stephanie, he'll come around. He always does. Lauren, praying for you, girl." I felt like vomiting. They were spinning it. Rewriting the story like I'd ghosted her. Like I'd wandered off on some dramatic midlife walkabout and she was the poor, grieving wife waiting for her lost lamb to return. Not the witch who stranded me like trash on the side of the road. Not the snake who laughed when I begged her friends to chill with the jabs. Not the manipulator who watched me squirm and decided I wasn't squirming hard enough. I slammed the laptop closed so hard it echoed in the tiny room. The next day, Jacqueline caught me burning bacon. "You trying to smoke us out, Rusty?" she snapped. She still called me Rusty on account of the first fake name tag I wore. "Sorry," I mumbled. She stopped. Looked at me. Really looked. "What happened?" I hesitated. Then told her everything. Again. But this time I didn't just tell it like a sad tale. I told it angrily. Bitter. Exhausted. She waited until I was done, then said, "You gonna let her keep setting fires in your head, or are you finally gonna slam the damn door?" I didn't answer. I didn't need to. I knew what I had to do. That night, I created a new email. Short. Cold. Final. "Chloe, hey. This is the last time I will acknowledge your existence. What you did wasn't a joke. It was a betrayal. Cruelty. And you don't get to rewrite it to make yourself feel better. Do not contact me again. Mike." I hit send. Then blocked her. Again. And this time I didn't check again. Didn't scroll. Didn't peek. Because I wasn't hers to laugh at anymore. But something told me Chloe wasn't the kind of person who took silence well. And I was right. It happened on a Tuesday. The breakfast rush had just started winding down at the original Jackie's Diner. I was wiping down the counter, flipping the open sign back around after we closed it for a quick midday reset. And the bell over the door jingled. I turned, and there they were. Chloe, Stephanie, Ella. Like some cursed reunion tour of a girl group nobody asked for. Chloe looked older and thinner, her hair shorter than I remembered. She wore that same too bright smile that used to make me melt. Now it just made me want to bleach the floor. Stephanie still had that smug tilt to her chin, like she thought the world should thank her for existing. Ella, well? Ella looked like she hadn't slept in a month. Her eyes darted around the diner like a raccoon caught in daylight. They didn't see me at first. Sat in a booth like they belonged there. Chloe was clutching something in her hand. A small envelope. I didn't wait for them to notice me. I grabbed the coffee pot. Walked over. Chloe looked up. Her face cracked. Mike. Stephanie grinned. Well, look at you. The big shot now. Ella gave a weak smile and stared down at the table. What do you want? I asked. No warmth. No curiosity. Chloe stood. Stepped forward, her hands shaking just enough for me to notice. We just wanted to talk. Here. You weren't answering your phone, she said, like that justified tracking me down like a bounty. I crossed my arms. You left me in the middle of nowhere. With nothing. And now you want to talk. Ella whispered it was supposed to be funny. Stephanie scoffed. We didn't think you'd actually vanish. Chloe's voice cracked. My life fell apart after you left. I lost everything. I didn't say a word. Just stared. Please, she said, holding out the envelope. We need help. Money. Just something. We're sorry. I looked down at the envelope. Then back up at her. And laughed. It was quiet. Cold. Bitter. The kind of laugh you give when the horror show is finally over and you survive with scars. I walked to the register. Pulled out a checkbook we only used for vendor deliveries. Scribbled a number. Walked back. Dropped it on the table. $73.50, I said. Stephanie picked it up. What the hell is this? Exact cost of a Greyhound ticket from Grand Junction to our hometown. 15 years ago. That's what it would have cost me to crawl back to you after what you did. That's all you get? Chloe's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Now get out of my diner. I didn't yell. I didn't throw plates or cry. I turned and walked away. They sat frozen for a minute. Stephanie muttered something under her breath. Chloe stared at the check like it might explode. Ella stood first. They left. The door jingled behind them. And just like that, the air cleared. I leaned against the counter, heart hammering but calm. For the first time in years, maybe ever, I felt taller. Jacqueline came out of the back, chewing on a toothpick. That them? Yeah. She nodded. They are horrible. You done with them? Yeah. She slapped a rag on the counter. Good. Get back to work. You missed a spot. And I laughed. This time really laughed. But as I watched them argue outside in the parking lot, Chloe clutching that check like it was a grenade, I knew something deep down. That was the last time she'd ever stepped foot into my world. Or so I thought. Weeks passed. Chloe didn't come back. Not to the diner. Not to my inbox. Not to my life. For once, she got the message. Or maybe she just didn't have anything left to ask for. And me? I kept building. The diners, yes, plural now, were thriving. Jacqueline handed me the reins to a second location across town, and I ran it like it was my own heartbeat. I hired staff, trained them, and learned their names and their stories. Felt real. Felt earned. Roy stopped by once, grinning like a proud uncle. Heard you're a boss man now, he said, squeezing my shoulder. Trying to be, I replied. The shelter was still standing, still helping. I dropped off meals sometimes. Not out of guilt, out of gratitude, because when I had nothing, they didn't laugh. And then there was Sienna. She'd been coming into the diner for weeks, always at the same table, always with her textbooks, always focused, until one day she noticed the name tag. Rusty? Really? Today? I smirked. That was the start of it. Sienna didn't know me as the guy who got left behind. She knew me as the guy who kept bringing her coffee, and eventually a stolen hash brown when she looked like she hadn't slept in 3 days. One night, her friends bailed on dinner plans. She asked if I wanted to take the reservation. We split a pizza, talked for hours. She laughed at my jokes. I didn't have to pretend I was someone cooler, sharper, more polished. I was just me, and that was enough. 6 months later, she moved into my apartment. A year after that, we got a bigger place. 2 years later, she became my wife. No games. No inside jokes at my expense. Just someone who saw me and stayed. Our life was messy, loud, and beautiful. 2 kids. 3 diners. Chaos. And I never looked Chloe up again. Until 15 years later. A LinkedIn alert. Someone viewed your profile 27 times today. It was her. Her profile photo was stiff. Her job title was something fancy I didn't understand. No ring on her finger. No smile in her eyes. I didn't click. Didn't message. Because she was a ghost. A shadow. I had a family. A legacy. A life she couldn't touch. But fate, it has a dark sense of humor. 3 days after that alert, The door to my original diner swung open. Chloe, Stephanie, Ella, again. This time there was no envelope, no tears, just silence. They looked rough. Life had not been kind. And I looked exactly how I wanted to. Solid. Chloe whispered. Please, just 1 minute. I stared. You got that minute 15 years ago, I said. Then I turned. Walked into the kitchen. Left them standing there like yesterday's joke. They didn't follow. They left. And I haven't seen them since. That night, I sat on the porch with Sienna. Our kids were inside. Laughter through the windows. She leaned on my shoulder. You okay? She asked. Perfect, I said. And I meant it. Because the best revenge isn't rage. It isn't a big speech or some dramatic showdown. It's this, quiet, steady, real. A life so whole, the ones who broke you can't even find the cracks anymore. So tell me this, what would you have done if your spouse left you stranded in another state with nothing but your dignity? Could you forgive someone who turned your pain into a punchline? Or would you, like Mike, rise from the wreckage and build a life so beautiful, they could only watch it from the outside? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hope you enjoyed this story as much as I do. Help this small channel grow by hitting that like button, subscribing, and sharing with your friends. Every bit of support means the world. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.